Before we start, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your life has been stuck on repeat? The same routines, the same excuses, the same lie you keep telling yourself every day. Someday you'll start a business. Someday you'll get in shape. Someday you'll actually live the life that you want. But what if I told you that the biggest thing holding you back right now isn't your money, isn't your job, isn't even the circumstances in life? What if I told you the biggest thing holding you back right now is your comfort zone? And the worst part is, your mind was designed to keep you there. In this video, we're going to discuss why most people never leave their comfort zone, the hidden psychology behind of it, and one thing you could do that can get you out of it. So, let me tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a guy. Let's say this guy's name is Shane, right? And every morning, Shane goes through his daily routine. He wakes up around 6:30, but before he even get up, his alarm goes off at least twice. When he does get up, he then scrolls through all his social media. He then leaves his bed around 8 o'clock to race down to the shower and then try to get something to eat. Most times he leaves the house around 9:15, 9:20, right? And he reached to work at least 10 o'clock. Now he's supposed to be work for 9 o'clock. And when he gets to work, then he proceeds to do his normal work routine, which is complain all day, complain about everything, anything. And he does this for at least 5 years, right? And every afternoon he does something very interesting. Every afternoon when he's driving home, he sits in his car and he's like, someday. Now, someday is a very dangerous word because someday doesn't mean now. Someday mean anytime. Someday doesn't really have any sense of urgency. Every day he tells himself the same lie. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll leave this job. Someday I'll speak to that girl I like. Someday I'll actually feel alive. Every day he tells himself that lie. Now let's take a pause from that story. I'm trying to finish some work, so bear with me. Now let's imagine, right? You're standing in a small room. It's warm. It's not beautiful, similar to this room. It's not inspiring. It's just familiar. And the walls are covered in routines and the floor is padded with predictability. The temperature in the room, just like this, is perfectly controlled. This room, your comfort zone. And just outside of that door right there is uncertainty, it's cold air, it's judgment, possible failure, possible embarrassment, possible rejection. And your brain looks at that door and say uncertainty, nope, 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 nope. Unpredictability, nope, 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 nope. Embarrassment, nope, nope, nope. I am staying right here. And that's the first reason why most people never leave, because your brain was not designed to make you successful. Your brain was designed to keep you alive. Remember that. Thousands of years ago, you leaving your comfort zone could mean that you could be eaten by a wild animal, or you could freeze to death, or even starve. So your nervous system still treats risk like danger. You want to start a business and your heart starts racing fast. You want to ask for a raise and your hands start to sweat like if you're being chased by a predator. You want to approach someone you're attracted to and your stomach starts to turn like if you're about to fall off a cliff. Your body cannot tell the difference between social risk and survival risk. So it whispers to you and says, stay safe, and you listen. But that's only the surface. Let me tell you what really keeps people stuck. And it's not laziness, believe me. And it's not even the lack of opportunity. It's identity. Shane didn't just have a routine. Shane had a story about who he was. And his story was, I'm not the type of person who takes big risks. I'm not confident. I am bad at business. I have never been athletic. I've always been shy. When you believe something about yourself for long enough, it becomes a cage. Even if that door is unlocked, most people will stay loyal to their identity than to challenge it. That's crazy. Because changing your life requires changing who you think you are. And that's terrifying. What do you lose if you always been the responsible person and all of a sudden you decide to chase one of your wild dreams? What do you lose if you always been the quiet person and all of a sudden you start to speak up for yourself? What do you lose? What do you lose if you always been the safe person and all of a sudden you decide to take a gamble on yourself? What do you lose? You lose nothing really. Let me take that back. You do lose something. You lose comfort. As humans, I'm really trying to figure out why it is we fear social rejection more than anything else. I'm still trying to figure that out. I want to ask you something. Have you ever noticed how people reacted to you when you started to grow? Have you? Have you ever noticed when you start to go to the gym more consistently, when you decide to stop drinking, when you decide that you want to start a business, when you decide you want to move out of your hometown, have you ever noticed how these people treat you? Oh no? You don't know? Okay, let me help you. This is stuff like, you changed. Why are you taking all these things so seriously? Be realistic. Have you ever heard any of those before? No, I know it might sound harmless, but understand this. Growth makes people uncomfortable because it exposes stagnation. So sometimes the comfort zone isn't just yours, sometimes it's shared. Sometimes you're in a comfort zone as a group, and when one person out of that group starts to grow and change, it feels like betrayal to the other members. Not because the other people in the group can't grow too, it's because growth is a lonely process and people fear loneliness. There's also another reason why people fear leaving the comfort zone, and this reason really hurts. Let's get back to the story. Shane once tried to start a business, but he failed. He once tried to lose weight. He quit. He once confessed to the girl that he loved, that he liked her, and she didn't feel the same. And after all of these small failures, what do you think happened to Shane? He started seeing these failures as proof that his fears were right. So now, staying in his comfort zone isn't just about being safe, it's about avoiding confirmation that what he feared all the time was actually true, that he's not good enough. And again, as humans, this kind of fear is so massive that we never want to leave our comfort zone. We want to stay safe. So as a result, we choose to protect ourselves, to stay comfortable, to shrink our goals, to lower our standards, to tell yourself that we are content. But deep down, we know that we are not. And that fear keeps us there. It keeps us in our comfort zone. But we know that we want to break free. But let me bring my boy Shane back into the story, right? One day, something small happened. One day, as he was driving home from work and he was sitting in traffic, he was at a stoplight and he was watching the red brakes light from the vehicle in front of him. He realized something. He realized that if nothing changed in the next 20 years, he will be doing the same routine, having the same frustrations, and telling himself the same thing every day. Someday he will do it all. And for the first time, the pain of staying the same felt greater than the pain of changing. And that's a turning point that most people never reach because the comfort zone doesn't feel painful enough for them. Here's some truth that most people don't like to hear. But leaving the comfort zone is not a one-time leap. Leaving the comfort zone is a daily decision. It's choosing the uncomfortable walkout, the awkward conversation, the risky idea, the disciplined routine, and doing that over and over again and never fully becoming comfortable. I want you to think of leaving the comfort zone as if it was a muscle. You go to the gym and you work out. You lift weights and your muscle feels the strain. It feels unnatural, but you don't quit. You interpret it as growth. What if we treat discomfort the same way? What if? What if anxiety before the first step wasn't a stop sign and it was a signal that you need to start now? Most people are addicted to scrolling instead of creating, watching instead of building, complaining instead of acting. Because short-term comfort always beats long-term fulfillment for that moment. The brain loves now. Growth rewards later. So you see where the conflict is? And later requires faith. Faith that efforts will pay off. Faith that awkward stages are temporary. Faith that you are capable of becoming someone you have never been. And faith is uncomfortable because faith is not guaranteed. Let me speak to you now. I want to speak to you directly. Yes, you. There's something that you've been postponing, something that you've been thinking about more often than you would like to admit. A conversation, a goal, a change. And you keep telling yourself you need more time, more money, more confidence, more clarity. But what you really want is certainty, isn't it? And certainty isn't guaranteed outside of the comfort zone. It's not, but growth is. Here's the irony. Comfort zone feels safe, but it actually is fragile. Industries change, jobs disappear, relationships evolve, health declines. The world moves whether we like it or not. Meanwhile, the person who normally steps in discomfort builds resilience, courage, flexibility, self trust. They don't run from fear, they train through it. Shane did not quit his job overnight. He did not suddenly transform. He started small. He wake up 30 minutes earlier every day. He worked on his ideas before he got to work and he stopped scrolling. He went to the gym at least 3 times a week. He read instead of going to parties. Tiny acts of rebellion against his already routine. And something powerful started to happen. He began to see himself differently. Not as a guy who wants to change, but as a guy who tries. And once your identity shifts, your comfort zone expands. What once felt terrifying then becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes your new routine. So why do most people never leave their comfort zone? Because it's warm, because it's familiar, because it's protecting their ego, because it preserves their identity, because it avoids short-term pain, because it keeps them socially accepted, because it doesn't demand courage today. But here's a better question that you need to ask yourself today. What does it cost to stay in your comfort zone? 10 years from now, what will hurt more? The embarrassment of trying? I bet you nobody would remember nothing about you in 10 years. Or the regret of knowing that you had much more in you, but you didn't even try. The temporary discomfort or the permanent what if? Which one will hurt more? I want you to imagine yourself at 80 years, sitting, looking back. Do you think that your future self will thank you for playing it safe? Or will it whisper, you know you had more in you, right? That whisper is already in you right now. It's the reason you watched this video this far. Thank you for that. You are not meant to be paralyzed by your comfort zone. You are meant to challenge it. So today, I'm going to challenge you to challenge your comfort zone. Send that message, start that draft, sign up for that class, subscribe, like, and share this video. Shane still feels fear, but he no longer obeys it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more than fear. So the real question isn't why most people never leave their comfort zone. The real question is, will you leave your comfort zone right now? The door is still closed, but it's not locked. And on the other side is uncertainty, unease, not instant success, a version of you that you haven't met yet. And the only way to meet them is to step outside. Thank you guys for watching another video. Please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.